gonna move on to the rest of the face. So I'm gonna start out with the cheek color next. So typically what I start out with is just the light mauve. And this is because we can always go darker again, but we can't go lighter. So just start out by applying like just a little bit, and then hand them the mirror and ask them if they want it darker. If they do want it darker, you can add a little bit more light mauve. I'm going to ask them to okay it again. Now, if they want it darker than that, then I always switch to Bronze Rose, which is just a couple shades darker. So I'm going to add some Bronze Rose to my cup. And then ask them if they want it darker than that. Now if they do want it darker than that, just add some more of the Bronze Rose. Right now I'm using this color a lot because it's summer. During the spring, I use a lot of the peach colors, coral colors. But during the summer, the Bronze Rose is really popular because people are just a little bit darker in their skin tone. Next thing I'm going to do is a highlight. Very rarely do people want a bronzer. If they do, then you can tackle that. Now for a highlight, kind of the rule that I use is if they are darker skin, I use the rose gold. If they're lighter skinned, I use the pink blossom. So just apply that to the tops of the cheekbones. And then ask them if that's okay. Typically what I do is when I hand them the mirror, I ask them to move their face side to side so that they can see the highlight. And I usually work with a pretty big umbrella light anyways. So now for the lips, what I usually do with the lips is I try to keep it pretty neutral. If they're very fair and the pigment on their lips isn't too dark, then I'll usually start with the light mauve. If they are darker in color, really tan, and they have a lot of pigment to the lips, I'll start with the Bronze Rose. And literally 98% of the time, these colors will work. Actually, I've only had one person say that they wanted it darker after I used the Bronze Rose, and that was because they wanted a red lip. So I'm just going to use the Bronze Rose because I have really dark skin. And even this might be a little too light on me. For my crazy darkness, I think I might add a drop of mauve. Kind of mix that up. Because otherwise I'm gonna look really, my lips are gonna look like invisible on camera. Then you're just gonna okay their lip color with them. If you started with the light mauve and they want it darker, move to the Bronze Rose. If they want it darker than that, add a drop of the mauve. And then the next thing you're gonna do is use the Moist and Dewy. So apply the Moist and Dewy to their lips first. And then just ask them, do you feel dry anywhere? And you want to use this product specifically only in the areas that are dry, because it is an oil extract, so you don't want to be applying oil all over everybody's face. That would be awful. So just ask them, if they feel really dry in any areas. If they do, then just apply it lightly to those areas. The next thing I'm going to do is apply the Airbrush Makeup Sealer. And I always tell all of my brides now, the foundation that I use is Paramedical Foundation. It is waterproof. The rest of the makeup is water resistant. So this is going to make it waterproof. So just apply that all over their face, regardless, focusing on the glamour makeup. Okay, now you're gonna let that sit for about 5 minutes, and you can have them look at their completed look at that point while you're letting it dry. And then what you want to do is, based on the information that you got before the trial about like any oiliness that they might get, if they're, what kind of skin type they have, you do want to then apply a setting powder. So then what you're going to do is just apply, and I'm using just the NYX HD powder. Apply some powder just to where they might get oily. So just in their T-zone typically, unless they say they're, constantly oily all over. It's not going to disturb the makeup. So when you're all finished, what I typically do is tell them, no cell phone use or sunglasses for at least an hour. You just want to make sure that nothing moves around. Typically it won't anyways, but you just want to be sure, since we're guaranteeing our fun. Typically what I tell them is, for touch-ups, they can use a beauty blottor to get rid of excess oil. They can use a pressed powder right over the makeup, and they can also use, a lip gloss right over the airbrush lips. And it's not going to disturb the makeup at all. So that completes the tutorial. When I first started in airbrush makeup, a wedding trial was really a complicated thing for me. And there was, maybe the first 3 to 6 trials, I think I had to start over from scratch. So I hope this video helps a lot of you guys in being able to take control of the trial, and also to achieve the desired look that the person wants without having to start over. I will make sure to put a list of all the products that I use on my blog and a link to my blog below. And thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope you subscribe.